So thank you everyone for joining today. Davide Rigato is with us today, and he will walk you through the key features of the Power WMS and use cases in details. Thanks, Davide, for your participation. Anytime you want to start.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. We are here today to see what the Power Up WMS is going to do. So let's check and let's start. So I'm the Power WMS today I'm going to show you the first setup of the Power WMS and the connection with our apps like handling unit, packing list, over under delivery, and other customization that can be done inside the Business Central for the Power WMS. So let's start. The Power WMS. What is the Power WMS? The Power WMS is an app developed inside the Power App, and it is useful to manage the front end of the Business Center for handling upon the logistic, and all the logics are handled in the back end. The aim of the Power WMS is to execute the warehouse operation. For example, for receipt goods, manage the item inside the warehouse, and also to for example, the picking activities. The main areas are, of course, the inventory viewing, the warehouse operation management, the handling unit management, and the packing list management. So, which are the main functionalities of the Power WMS? The first one is the multi-language. So for each user of the Power WMS, we can handle different languages. The Power WMS is able to handle multi-company. So if your tenant has a multi-company setup, the Power WMS can connect to all the companies. All the environments are configurable. So the barcode, you're going to handle the custom activities, and the recording of the documents can be can be handled in different ways by the setup you're going to do inside the Business Central. It also has an offline logic. So you don't need to use the Power WMS always be connected to the LAN. But you can, when you go inside the document, you need to be connected to internet. And for handling the document, you can go around the warehouse without any connection. And when you have to save or post the document, you need a connection. It works on a multi-device. So you can install the Power WMS in Android, Apple, Windows, and you can then download the app from the marketplace. The themes of the Power Apps are customizable, like the colors, and all the logics. If you need to develop the other logics, that can be done inside the Business Central. You don't need to develop the logics inside the Power App, so it's easier to create new activities. Which are the functionalities of the Power WMS? So the Power WMS is able to give you the item information, like as the inventory for the bin, the inventory for the item for each bin, and also for each location, check the tracking code of the item and search where the tracking code are inside the bin. The order can be handled or with the warehouse. For example, for the receipt of the goods, we can receive them using the WMS or from the purchase receipt, like the purchase order, or like the warehouse receipt. The same is for the sales return receipt and the shipment order. So you can ship the goods or from the shipment order, from the sales order or from the warehouse shipment. What about the warehouse? With the warehouse with the Power WMS, you can handle the item reclassification, the bin reclassification, of course, all the warehouse document, and also the physical inventory. About the handling units, you can also reclassify the handling units from bins, from locations also. You can handle the packaging instructions if needs, and handle also the movements of the goods from different handling units. So I have some goods inside the handling unit A, I need to move them inside the handling unit. B, I don't need to put the goods out of the first handling unit, but there is a specific action for do this kind of movements. So how the setup works for the users? For each user, we need to create a setup. For each user, we must to define the employees, and each employees need to have a linked resource with the right license. To each user, we can assign specific activity, and we can set up every single activity for each user. So, for example, the warehouse receipt for the user A can be different for the user B. For like the setup scanner he's going to use, or the information he can see. Going over, let's see the setup scanner. In Business Center, inside the opposite setup, we can handle different kind of setup. The first one is the AN 128, the most useful, where we can handle, for example, the var identifier, which can be done with the specific setup and using the right codes. We can define the order of the barcode. For example, in the first part, we have the item ID. In the second one, the tracking, and later the quantity and other kind of information. What else? If we need to handle the GS1 barcode, we can also personalize it just like using by developing the logics inside the Business Central. We don't need to develop it inside the Power App, so it's pretty easier. If we need to handle easier barcode, for example, we need to handle just the barcode of the item. So we need to scan just the code or the cross-reference, for example. We can choose to do the setup for easier one, like the linear or the sequential, which is the difference. In the linear setup of the barcode, we can put inside one barcode more information, like the item ID, the tracking, the quantity. So the barcode will be structured like this one. In the first step, we have the item code. After that, we have a barcode separator. And then we have we can put inside the other information we need. Inside with the sequence and all the beep that will be done with the linear setup will be just one. Then with the sequential barcode, we need to scan. We need to do a scan for each information. For example, if we need to handle the same information like the item, the tracking, and the quantity, we need to beep 3 times. The first one, the item, the second one, the tracking code, and the third one, the quantity. The activities, all the movements and the operations that are done inside the Power WMS are registered and posted inside a specific table. So if you need to check what's going wrong or what operator has done a specific operation, you could check it inside this table. What can we see inside the table? We can see the activity type that was handled, the employee number that has done the operation, what kind of operation has done, the post, saving, or for example, he launched a specific action, for example, for printing labels. And we can also check the duration, how much time does it takes to post the item, the record, sorry. Which are the specifics of the pistol? Okay, so it's required of operating system of Android, Apple, or Windows. Microsoft required at least 5 GB of RAM to run the Power App environments. And we recommend a processor like Cairo 300 or more, or a Snapdragon 600 or more. So let's start to see how the interface of the Power WMS. The first step is to log inside the Power WMS with a badge. To each employee, we assign a specific badge. So when he enters inside the Power App, he will see just the activity that have been applied to its user. For example, the user 001 can do the picking activities, put away activities, and also. After that, you choose the activity you want to handle. You can see here that we have all the document that the procedure received that we can handle. For example, we see the number of the document, the location where we have to handle it, and for example, also the buyer. When we are in this page, we can choose to click in the right document, or simply scan the barcode of the document and it will enter inside the document. What can we see when we are inside? We can see all the items that we have to handle for the relative quantities. For example, the first line requires a pannello for 3 pieces, and we have handled 0 of them. And also we can see other details, for example, the buyer, the name of the buyer, and other fields that are in the header of the document. If it's required from the Power App, we can also fill some fields that are required. For example, the vendor shipping no can be filled from the Power WMS. After that, we choose the line that we want to handle. We go inside the line where we see other information for the specific line, like the description, the location, other information about the line. So if you have, for example, custom field, you can show the custom field inside the Power App with just the setup that I'll show you later. How can we customize the field in the Power App? We have to go inside the user of the WMS, choose direct activity. For example, here I'm inside the employee number 1 in the picking activity. I go inside the related action, and I choose if I want to set up the field inside the first list, where I can see all the number of the document, for example, the purchase order, or in the second part, in the list field 2, which is about the line of the document. So the list field 1 is about the header of the document, and the list field 2 is about the line of the document. Detailed field is about the detail of the document. For example, before we see the vendor shipping no was in a different pages, this action is about that pages. Okay. Also, over to customize the field that we can show inside the Power App, we can also put inside the Power App some custom action. For example, the printing labels, where all the logic can be developed inside the Power App. We choose the activity to recall inside the Power App. We do like with the setup, the name that must be shown inside the Power App, and when the user click inside the activity, it recall the logic inside the Business Central. For example, here I create inside the warehouse receipt a new action, which is called like print label. And inside the warehouse receipt, if in the header or in the right line, I can launch the custom activities. What about the handling unit? The handling unit is really powerful inside the Power WMS. We can create the handling unit or inside the document while handling the document. For example, if I have to handle a picking document to ship the goods, I can create while handling the picking document the handling unit. For example, I need to ship the telaio for from different bins. What happened? I go to different bins with the pallet, and I put all the goods inside the pallet. How can I do this one? I can do it by using the pick and pack function. This one. This is useful to create the handling unit I want, and from the moment that I create the pick and pack, all the items that I scan from that moment will be assigned to the new handling unit. The Power Mesh is able also to handle the packaging instructions. So if some lines of the document require some specific packaging instruction, for example, a customer require a specific handling unit or a specific number of goods inside the handling unit, we can create some specification and we can tell to the user how to create the handling unit. For example, in this case, it says that the client requires one pieces for each handling unit, and in one handling unit can be in one big handling unit can be two smaller handling unit. For example, the pallet and the cartoon. So now let's start with a quick trial. On the left, I have the looks of the Power Apps. On the right, I will leave the Business Center to see how the two environments communicate together. So right now we are inside a purchase order, and let's create a warehouse receipt. Where is warehouse? Create warehouse receipt. So right now I have to handle two different goods, one with the tracking code and one without the tracking code, which requires 100 units each one. I want to handle so the warehouse receipt 7. I can choose to go inside the warehouse receipt activity, choose the document I want to handle, or selecting it, or keeping it. It's telling me that I need to receive 100 pieces of vino and 100 pieces of the isolamento. From here, I can beep the item. The first one requires the tracking code, so I can put the tracking code manually or with the specific setup to tell to the Power App to assign a tracking code automatically. I'm going to put manually inside 100 pieces. It has assigned 100 pieces to the first line. Let's do the same for the second one. The second one doesn't require the tracking code. So when I beep the second item, it doesn't require me to put inside the tracking code, but just the quantity I want to handle. When I've done that, I can save or post the document. Over that, I can also put inside the other information, like the vendor shipping note. DDT 01. Right now, I want just to save it, and let's see what happened in Business Center. I reload the page, and all the information have already arrived in Business Center. So he already updated my vendor shipping number and update also the quantity to receive inside the lines. From the setup, I can also choose if the user is able to post the document or can also save the document. And this decision can be done for each user and activity. For example, the user one can't post the document of the receipt, but can post the picking document. And the user two instead can post the receipt document. Now let's post the document. And my warehouse receipt. is not available because it's been paused. For the location setup, it has already created a put away document. Let's check the put away document. Sample it from here is the 8th one. So what is telling me? I have to move the first item from the bin of the receipt to the stock bin, like from the reach to the P01 for what? 100 pieces. I can also choose to change the bin where I want to stock the item. What else? Here we have also the pick and pack action. What can I do with the pick and pack? As I said, I can create, while handling the document, the new handling unit. For example, while stocking the goods, I want to put the goods inside a packaging material. Let's say that I want to put the first goods inside a new pallet. Okay. He creates a new handling unit. Right now, if I scan the first line, 007A lot 04 100 pieces. Sorry, 2, 3, 4, 7A lot 04 100 pieces. It has assigned me to the line 100 pieces to handle. When I say OK, I come back to the list to handle the other lines. Let's handle also the other one, maybe in a different handling unit. So I choose a new handling unit. I choose a new packaging material. I say OK. We create a new handling unit, the 46. Let's handle the second line. Let's scan the item, the quantity, and that's OK. And post the document. Perfect. In Business Central, what have been done? So let's search handling unit. And he create the handling unit 45 and 46. The 45 has the first item, the 46 the second item, and they are in the first one is in the first bin code, and the second one in the bin code number 2. Let's suppose that now we want to move the handling unit from the bin P01 to the bin, sorry, we want to move the handling unit 46 from the bin 2 to the bin 1. We will go inside the handling unit section, choose the handling unit reclassification. He's asking me where I want to put the handling unit. I want to put the handling unit inside the bin code P01. And now he asks me, what handling unit do you want to move? The P0046. If I want, I could handle more handling unit. Let's post the document, save and post. If I update Business Central, the location changes. Okay. Now, let's see the setup in Business Central and all the pages of the WMS. If we search WMS inside Business Central, we see all the related pages. We can see the first is the setup. We can choose the language the user usually use. For example, because this setup is really useful when I have to create a new user. So some information are already filled from when I create the new action. I can choose the theme. The theme is the color of the Power App. There are different themes, like the orange one and the blue one and the other. Over that, we have another important part, which is the activity execution mode, which can be of three types: synchronous, asynchronous, scheduled. We are now using the synchronous mode. What does it mean? That every activity that is done inside the Power WMS immediately reflect inside the Business Central. If we choose the asynchronous or scheduled mode, we need to set up a job queue to run all the activity that are done inside the Power WMS. We use this kind of execution mode when the user are a lot. For example, 20 or more user that post the document together. Over that, we have the barcode setup. Let's see the scanner setup. As I said before, we can set different scanner setup. The easier one was the sequential that I have just shown you. What I've done with the sequential, the Power WMS asked me to do the first beep about the item, the second one about the tracking, and the third one about the quantity. Instead, if I handle a linear setup like this one, the Power WMS asks me to scan a barcode like this one, 0081 pipe lot 04 pipe 10. If the barcode has a text like this one, the Power WMS transcoded it like the item ID is 0081, tracking lot 04, quantity 10. If we need to create a new setup scanner, create new, assign a code, decide the type of the scanner, sequential, linear, custom, positional, and after that, let's say what kind of information we want to handle inside the barcode. For example, the item ID, the variant code, the serial number, lot number, and other. And also, of course, the handling unit. Now let's check the user of the WMS. Let's search user WMS. What can we see? Have set up 3 different users. The first user, that is the one that I've just used, is able to use to handle the picking document, the put away document, and other type of document. Instead, the employee number 4 can do, let's do that with the employee number 5, can do, for example, the put away or the picking document, can handle just the purchase receipt and the sales shipment. For each user and each activity, I can create a specific setup. You go inside the edit action. I can specific for each employee and each activity, the scanner setup that we have just seen. The scan mode, what is the scan mode? The scan mode is the mode where we do the scans. For example, we have 3 different types: line, group, and fast. Which is the different? The line type, when I go inside a document, sorry, because I can do the picking document. Let's do the put away. I see all the lines that are inside the Business Central document are also inside the put away document. For example, this put away document has 2 lines with the 2 different items, and that's okay. And I'm going to handle the document from inside the line, because here I'm in the list of the line. If I want to handle the line, I have to go inside, beep the item, or beep like the setup the scanner that I'm going to use, and handle the line. If I use the fast mode, I can beep all the items from the list of the item to handle. So from here, when I scan the item from here, it will automatically apply to the right lines. And the group mode, which is the difference between the group mode and the line mode. The difference is that if I inside the document, I have different lines with the same item and the same bin code, inside the WMS document, I will see just one line. For example, if inside the put away document in Business Central, I had 2 lines about this item, which requires to put away it inside the bin number 995. Inside the Power WMS, I'll see just one line. Inside the user activity card, we can also check what kind of document can see the employee. For example, I can show just the document that are about one specific location. For example, the employee number 1 can see all the picking document about all the location. I can show him I can show him also. I can I can filter the document also for other field of the header of the document. Otherwise, we can also filter the line of the document. For each activity, we can also choose the specific execution mode that we see before. So the synchronous, scheduled, or the asynchronous. For each activity, we can decide that if the user can post the document or just can save the document. Okay. Let's enable the user activity. So now let's try to handle a shipping document. Let's start from a sales order. Let's create the warehouse shipment. And for the configuration of the location, it requires the picking document. So I need to handle the same item I handled before. I create the picking document. Okay. What is telling me the document is telling me to go inside the location and pick the item from the bin code P01. So let's handle it from the WMS. Let's go inside the picking document. Let's beep it. Okay. From here, we can or handle the item with the item barcode, or just beeping the handling unit that we created before. Before we created the handling unit number 45 and 46, exactly. Let's beep the handling unit P0045, P0046. Come back to the line, save the document. It updates the line with the right quantity. Let's post the document. What happened inside my warehouse shipment? Inside my warehouse shipment, it assigned the handling unit to the document, and so also create the packing list, where it says that I have 2 handling units with 100 items for the first line and 100 items for the second line. From the WMS, what we can do also, we can handle also the item information. For example, I need to check the information of one item. I click inside the item information. I beep the item. It says that the description, the type, the inventory. If I click inside the inventory, I can check the inventory for each location, where I can see the remaining quantity and the reserved quantity. For each location, I can check the where is inside the location the items, and if the item require the tracking code, for example, the 00007A, let's check the inventory inside the location Padova. Inside the bin code of shipment, for example, it will show me also the items for each tracking code. If I need to reclass some item, I can use also the specific action, which is item reclassification. It asks me the starting location and the receiving location. Sorry, not the location, but the bin. For example, I want to move away from the SPAD, from the shipment location, from the shipment bin, the items to the P01 bin. I said, OK, and I start to handle the item. 100 pieces. I want to handle the other item, 00007A, lot 04, 100 item. It's saying that I'm going to move the item from the shipment bin to the pin P01. I can also choose to change the quantity. Let's save and post. OK, so this is an error. What happened when an error occurs? We can check the errors inside the movement activities. Sorry, don't remember the name. Activity information. Sorry. Setup. Activity. Activity action. Sorry, I don't remember the right name. Activity information, custom activity. No, I don't remember the name, sorry. I can't find under setup activity action. So let's check also this one, which is very interesting, the scanner reference list. If our vendor or our client send us the item with already a barcode, we don't need to reprint the label. We can also create this setup where we can say in the type of the setup scanner the Power WMS have to handle if I'm receiving goods from, for example, the vendor number 2. Instead, if I have to put the labels inside my shipment goods, I can say I want to handle in the warehouse shipment for my customer number T01, this kind of setup that we created before. Now, what about the handling of the inventory? If we needed to handle the physical inventory, we search like standard physical inventory. For each employee, we suggest to create a specific batch. For example, right now I'm handling the employee number 1, where I already create the physical inventory journal for this item. Now I want to handle the inventory inside the WMS. How that can be done? I go inside the Power WMS, search for the activity of physical inventory. It says that I have for the first item is Palla, 100 pieces inside the location, inside the bin code number 1. What I do? I go inside the physical inventory. I choose the bin code I want to inventor. So DP number 1. I say, OK. I beep the item. I check the quantity. I want to handle, for example, 199 pieces. Sorry. OK. Let's handle also the second line. For pieces. And save. The information immediately arrive inside Business Central. Sorry, I do the wrong bin code. So let's scan the different. Let's inventor the right bin code. I choose the S01. Okay. So back 39 pieces. Save the activity. Reload the page in Business Central. Right now, some posticci. So I reset the activity so I can start again with the right activity. So this one, 100 pieces. The S01, it says that I have 110. That's okay. Let's save. Update the item. It says 10. The difference is 10 pieces. But also says that this line has been scanned inside the Power WMS. The other lines are not already been scanned. So I can also filter the line that needed to be scanned. What else can we check inside the WMS? We can create inside the user list. So right now I'm back inside the employee number 1 in the picking activity. Define what kind of field I want to show inside the Power App. For example, in the header, right now I'm showing just the number of the document, the location code of the document, and the number of lines that has the document. If I want to add more field to show inside the Power App, create another line. I choose from the table the field to show. Otherwise, we can also choose the order that we want to show the field. What about, for example, the vendor number, the vendor shipment number that we saw before? We go inside the warehouse receipt. We go inside the related, detailed field number 1. Sorry, I have to disable the activity to do some to modify it. Detailed field 1. It says that I'm showing inside the detailed field the field number 13. What kind of field is this one? I can edit the field. It asks me if the field is mandatory to post the document, and also if I have to validate the field when it arrives in Business Central. What else? If we develop other logics, we can also customize the field, adding a table relation by developing the logic inside the Business Central. If we have to create specific activity, for example, the printing labels to show inside the physical inventory, not the physical inventory, but for example, inside the put away action, we need to print a label of this item, and we want to create a specific action right here. Go to activities. Here we have the list of all the custom action have been developed inside the Business Central environment. I say where in which activity I want to show this kind of activity. For example, here I want to show it inside the item information. I want to show it inside the header of the document of the WMS or inside the line, so document or line. After that, I say the caption of the activity, because I can choose, for example, the name in Italian and English. Every single caption inside the Business Central can be handled with a specific setup, which is translation WMS. In this table, we can choose the name to show, for example, to the scan, detail, if you want, if we need to change the name. Okay. When we start with the setup, there are just 2 languages, which are the Italian, English, and we are adding right now the German. What else? So we are back here inside the user list where we have where we can see all the activity that the employee number 1 is able to do. We can also choose the looks of the homepage of the Power WMS. We can see here that we have like the cartel about the item information, where inside there is the item information being counted for by bin, being counted by item. We can choose to remove like this action from the cartel and put over here. How we can do that? We go inside the item information. It is telling me that it is inside the item information group. We disable it. We change the group item from item information to blank. And when I will reload the app, it will be not inside the item information section, but in the first section. So let's check also the user setup for each user. If I edit the user, I can check the language that the employee number 1 is going to use. the specific team for the employee number 1, the location view. So we can choose if the employee number 1 can see all the location, for example, or just can see the specific location, which is the default location. For example, if this is required because if we need to handle the reclassification, we put this location as the default location to move the item. And also we set for each employee, which is the batch to use for the reclassification, the positive and the negative adjustment, and the physical inventory. There is another important functionality that I'm going to show you right now. If we have, for example, hand-to-hand a specific document, for example, a warehouse pick, we don't need to go inside the picking activity and sorry, because that shows let's enable the activity for the employee number 1. You don't need to go inside the list of the document to start handling the document. We can handle it by using the OmniSearch function. If I beep from here the number of the document, the Power WMS automatically will understand the type of the document and go inside the document to handle it. When the user finished to handle all the document, he can go on settings and go log out from this view. For example, let's change user, and we are in the first section where the Power WMS asks the number of the badge to log inside the app. For example, the employee number 1 has the badge number 001, instead the employee number 5 has the badge 005. If I insert the badge number 1, I start working like the employee number 1, so I can handle all his activities. 001. And OK. So I hope to be clear, and this is all. Are there any questions?
No, Davide, I was checking the chat and
Yeah.
there is no real question. I was just waiting if some is coming in, just to give some times to. Okay, no, only one question.
Yes.
Can Power WMS run with the Business Central on-prem?
Yes, of course. And it's required at least Business Central 23
Okay.
to run the Power WMS.
Perfect. Thank you. So we hope we answered this question. If no more are coming in, then you still have all our contacts, so you can reach out to us anytime. So Davide, thanks once again for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a nice evening. Bye.
Bye.